As much as you agree that sexual desires are a natural part of human life, there's a need to be careful who we relate with and how we indulge in it. For Christians, managing these desires in accordance with the faith can be challenging. And what a great challenge this is, because in our world today, everywhere we turn, we are battered with dozens of obscene images that can blow one's desire for sex above the roof. And this begs the question, how can you control your sexual needs as a Christian? While the urge to engage in sexual activity may be strong, the Bible guides how individuals can navigate these desires in a way that honors God's original design for human sexuality. In today's video, I will shed light on some of them. Keep watching. Some people view sexuality as a natural and healthy expression of human desire, diversity, and pleasure. Through this perspective, sex does not become a kind of indulgence or compulsion, but rather a source of joy and connection. And this is the ideal way we should think about sexual relationships. Through this perspective, too, sex is rejected as a kind of inversion and accepted as a form of conversion, which implies that there is a normative or correct way to go sexual. This view permits us to embrace our sexuality as part of our authentic selves and seek to affirm and celebrate it with our partners, instead of trying to twist their arms to get them to give in. This is the idea behind sexual freedom, the ability to exercise our sexual rights with respect to the desires of others, such as their right to privacy, consent, health, and non-discrimination. The opposite of this view happens when people allow their sexuality to lead to potential problems or danger, especially when it deviates from moral and spiritual values. Here, sex degenerates into a form of indulgence or compulsion, which can lead to sin, addiction, or harm. This perspective disproves the principle of sex as having an ideal pattern it should follow, which suggests that there is a natural or divine order of sexuality, and that any deviation from it is unnatural and immoral, conversion rather than inversion. Sexuality is a free and worthwhile experience, but people can also face negative consequences when they are overcome by an uncontrolled sexual desire, even with one's legally married spouse. Consider the story of John, a young Christian man who struggled to control his sexual desires. Despite his commitment to his faith, he found himself consumed by lustful thoughts and urges. This led him to engage in premarital sexual activities, causing emotional turmoil and guilt. Eventually, his actions resulted in the breakdown of a meaningful relationship and strained his connection with his faith community. John's inability to control his sexual desires led to feelings of shame, isolation, and a sense of spiritual disconnect. Here are some ways you can adopt to control your sexual needs as a Christian so that you don't end up falling short of the glory of God. 1. Understand God's design for sex. We believe that God created sex as a gift to be enjoyed within the bounds of marriage. Understanding and accepting this design can help us approach our sexual desires with a sense of reverence and responsibility. 2. Establish boundaries. Setting clear boundaries in interactions with the opposite sex can help you maintain a healthy and respectful dynamic. This could involve maintaining open communication, being mindful of physical touch, and prioritizing mutual respect. 3. Prayer and spiritual discipline. Engaging in regular prayer and spiritual discipline can provide strength and guidance when dealing with sexual urges. Turning to God in times of temptation can offer clarity and resolve your raging tensions. 4. Accountability and community. Building a supportive community and seeking accountability from trusted friends or mentors can help you stay on track in managing your sexual desires. Being open and honest with a trusted friend or within a Christian community can provide you with valuable support to handle sexual temptations. 5. Filling the mind with positivity. Actively consuming uplifting and edifying content can help redirect your thoughts away from impure desires. This could include reading scripture, inspirational literature, and positive entertainment. 6. Seeking professional help. You can always go to those who know these things more than you in case managing your sexual desires becomes too overwhelming. Also, seeking professional counseling or therapy can be beneficial. Christian counselors can come in handy here, providing guidance that aligns with biblical principles. In the Bible, several people demonstrated remarkable self-control in the face of sexual temptation. Joseph, a prominent figure in the book of Genesis, resisted the advances of Potiphar's wife, choosing to honor God and his commitment to righteousness. Additionally, the Apostle Paul wrote extensively about self-control and the importance of managing one's desires in accordance with God's will. Managing sexual needs as a Christian requires a combination of spiritual, emotional, and practical strategies. By integrating faith-based principles, seeking support from a community of believers, and drawing inspiration from biblical role models, you can strive to honor your faith while praying for strength to pass through the complexities of these sexual desires. I mentioned God's divine design for sex earlier on, but this has ultimately been twisted today. In the book of Genesis, God's original design for human sexuality is depicted as a beautiful and sacred union between a man and a woman within the covenant of marriage. The Bible describes this union as a profound and intimate bond, emphasizing the unity and companionship between husband and wife. It is a relationship marked by love, respect, and the potential for procreation, reflecting God's intention for the expression of sexual intimacy within the context of marriage. Briefly, let me explain some of the ways psychologists have tried to understand human sexuality and personality, and how this is compared with those of animals. One famous psychologist, Freud, thought that our personality is formed by how we deal with our sexual feelings and conflicts when we are young, and that these feelings are very important for everything we do and think. Another way of looking at it is that our sexuality and personality are not something we are born with, just like with animals. It is something we learn and create through our interactions and conversations with other people and other cultures. Now, when it comes to the difference between humans and animals, this can be quite tricky and controversial, as the comparison is somewhat demeaning. But humans are, in fact, just a little higher than animals. Some researchers have studied how hormones, brains, and environments affect sexual behavior in both humans and animals, and they have found some similarities and differences among different species, body parts, and life stages. One of the significant differences between humans and animals is that our brains are more complex, giving way to higher intellectual capacities. As Christians, we must understand that the urge to engage in sexual activity is purely natural, but care must be taken towards going about it. This is because even as higher intellectual creatures, men often grapple with strong urges to engage in sexual activity more than women. The Bible acknowledges the complexity of human nature and the challenges associated with managing these urges. In the book of Genesis, the narrative of Adam and Eve's fall into sin sheds light on the inherent struggle between the physical and spiritual aspects of all humans. This struggle, often characterized by desires that can lead to temptation, is a part of the human experience. Additionally, the Apostle Paul, in his letters to the Corinthian and Roman churches, addresses the struggles of the flesh and the call to exercise self-control. He acknowledges the tension between the flesh and the spirit, recognizing the propensity for human beings to be drawn towards gratification of physical desires. However, Paul also emphasizes the importance of aligning our actions with God's will and living in a manner that reflects spiritual maturity. Because we are higher intellectual creatures, we have been given the added ability to control our grittiness and gain true sexual freedom. This is something completely alien to animals. St. John Paul II's perspective on sexual desires and true sexual freedom. In his groundbreaking work, Love and Responsibility, and later in his Theology of the Body, St. John Paul II offered profound insights into the nature of human sexuality and the true meaning of sexual freedom. He emphasized that sexual desires are an integral part of human nature, representing a deep longing for intimacy and connection. These teachings highlights the significance of understanding and respecting the inherent dignity of each person in human sexuality. St. John Paul II proposed that true sexual freedom is not found in the pursuit of hedonistic pleasures or unrestricted indulgence, but rather in the context of self-giving love and the commitment to authentic relationships rooted in respect and responsibility. Following this argument, we can see that the true meaning of sexual freedom lies in the capacity to love authentically, honoring the physical and spiritual aspects of others. This is particularly interesting because it highlights the importance of self-mastery and the pursuit of genuine love. It emphasizes the fulfillment of sexual desires as being intricately linked to the call to love and respect others with sincerity and selflessness. With this in mind, it becomes easier to sail through the complexities of sexual urges, especially when interacting with the opposite sex. It is essential to approach interactions with the opposite sex with mindfulness, respect, and a commitment to upholding personal integrity, just like David did. In the face of sexual temptations, remember that God has provided a way out for us, demonstrating His faithfulness in helping individuals navigate such challenges. Additionally, in the book of Proverbs chapter 4 verse 23, there is an exhortation to guard one's heart, emphasizing the importance of commitment and faithfulness. By drawing from St. John Paul's teachings on true sexual freedom and integrating practical strategies for handling sexual temptations, you can strive to order your manners and conversations to reflect respect and genuine love. In essence, the urge to engage in sexual activity, though strong, is part of the complex human experience, and the Bible offers wisdom and guidance for excelling in these desires in a manner that aligns with God's original design for human sexuality. I hope you gained some insights from today's video. Do well to share your testimony in the comments section. Also, you can support my work by clicking subscribe below.